Yes, learn English now.
Welcome! In this class, you will learn how to answer the question, what was your childhood like? When we want to talk about our childhood, which is in the past, we need to use verbs, irregular and regular verbs. What is the difference between these two types of verbs? Let's see. We will start with irregular verbs. These are the verbs that change completely when we are transforming them into the past tense. We have 3 examples here: eat, drink, and sing. Let's see how much they change when we refer to them in the past. The first one, eat, becomes ate. Completely different. The next one, drink. In past, it is drank. And finally, sing. In past becomes sang. Let's see more examples of irregular verbs. Here we have become, who transforms into became. Choose becomes chose. Do becomes did. Feel becomes felt. We have give that turns to gave. Have turns into had. These are just some examples of common irregular verbs. We will use some of these in the next practice activity. So, let's go ahead and check how to use irregular verbs to talk about the past. Complete the next 2 sentences. In the first picture, we can see that this man is doing something, but it happened in the past. So, we can say he blank her a flower. What did he do? He blank her a flower. What is the past tense of give? Very good. It is gave. He gave her a flower. The next example. She blank her homework. What did we say was the past of do? She did her homework. Very good. Now, we are going to work with another very common irregular verb, was and were. What is that? Well, it is the past tense of the verb to be. Let's see how we can use this verb with some examples. If I am talking about the present, I know that the verb to be for me or for the first person is am. I can say, I am at home today. I am at home today. Verb to be in present. But what if I want to talk about where I was yesterday? Here's an example. I was at a concert yesterday. I am at home today. I was at a concert yesterday. Very simple. Nice examples with the verb to be in present and in past. But as you can see, we are only using the first person here. So let's check how else we can use the verb to be in past. If we want to make an affirmative sentence, then I can say, I was. If I'm going to be making an affirmative sentence about another person, using he, she, or it, then I can use was. How about you, we, and they? In this case, we use were. I was, he, she, it was, you, we, they were. Affirmative use of the verb to be in past. Now let's check the negative use. How do we structure negative statements with the verb to be in past? Well, in a very similar way. I wasn't. I wasn't. He, she, it wasn't. You, we, they weren't. So far, very good with the use of the verb to be in past simple. Now it's time to practice. Let's check these next couple of sentences. She, busy in the morning. So we know that it is not right now. This happened at a moment of the past, specifically in the morning. What would be the correct use? And it is affirmative. We can say, she was busy in the morning. Now let's check with the next picture. We have two young girls. We're going to refer to them as they. There are two young girls. They, blank, excited to play with leaves yesterday. What would be the correct way to complete this sentence? It is affirmative, and we are using they, so we know it is they were excited to play with leaves yesterday. Very good, but we are not done yet. Let's practice with more examples where we can use the negative form of the verb to be in past. If we check the first picture, we can say they, at the library. They, at school. What could be the correct way to complete this sentence? Well, in the first part, we use the negative form. They weren't at the library. Let's look at the picture. They were at school. Let's see with the second picture. We, blank, exercising. We, blank, painting. We weren't exercising. We were painting. Very good. Now, let's go ahead and continue by getting to understand the regular verbs. They're very different from the irregular verbs we just saw. What makes them different? Well, regular verbs all end with ed. So we have three examples here: walk, play, and call. We know that when we write these words, they will all end with ed. When we take these present tense verbs and transfer them into the past, they will end with ed. They will be pronounced differently, but they will be written with the same ending, ed. So, walk turns into walked. Play becomes played. And call becomes called. Let's check more examples of regular verbs. Accept, accepted. Bake, baked. Change, changed. Decide, decided. We also have imagine, imagined. And finally, talk, talked. These are just some examples of common regular verbs. Now, let's practice using the regular verbs in past with these two examples. The first one, Kevin blank a cake last week. What is that past tense of the verb bake? It's regular, so it must end in ed. Kevin baked a cake last week. Our next example. They blank video games all night. The correct way to complete the sentence is they played video games all night. Now, let's practice using the regular and irregular verbs to answer the question, what was your childhood like? In this example, we have Joshua. This is Joshua today, in the present. But I want to know, what was his childhood like? I have two pictures of little Joshua. Joshua when he was a child, a young boy. And I have two sentences that tell me a little bit about what his childhood was like. In the first one, he, in the park. We already practiced using this verb. It is a regular verb, play. He played in the park. Now we know that when Joshua was a child, he played in the park. Let's see the next example. He, long hair. He, blank, long hair. Well, when he was a child, he had long hair. Let's practice with more examples. How to answer this question, what was your childhood like? I can say, my childhood was very nice. I played with my friends. I had many toys. Look at how I'm using these regular and irregular verbs to give different examples, descriptions of my childhood. I can also say, I lived with my parents and my siblings. Remember, your siblings are your brothers and sisters. And finally, I can also say, I loved cartoons. This is what my childhood was like. Now, it's your turn to answer the question. So, practice talking about your childhood with the activities in your worksheet. Good luck, and I will see you in the next class.